കണക്റ്റ് ആവുന്നില്ല. ഓ അല്ല, കണക്റ്റ് ആയി.
എനിക്ക് കാണാം. ഐ മീൻ
ഒന്ന് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കൂ ലിങ്കിൽ. ഞാനൊന്ന് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കാം.
ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ.
ഇതിങ്ങനെ ശരിയാവും തോന്നുന്നില്ല കേട്ടോ. സംഭവം ഐറീന അവിടെ നിന്ന് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ. കണക്ട് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു.
ആ ഓക്കെ. ഇത് ഓഫ് ചെയ്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ Hello?
Guys, can you hear and see me because I'm from my phone?
Yes, I can see and hear you properly. But you need to start the streaming
Super.
from your end.
I do need to start. Really?
Yeah, because YouTube
Already
says
streaming. Can you? Okay.
I started from OBS.
Oh gosh,
I started from OBS, but YouTube is saying waiting for Irina.
and what do I do? Create, go live.
You can go to that existing live and see if some option comes.
Manage. Go to manage. Live with Santosh. Why is it unlisted? Oh shit. It's upcoming. There's one upcoming. Streaming software. Close. What do I do? Public. This one I need to select. And then what do? I open it. It says error. We detected multiple streams using the same key.
Oh, wait. I'll stop streaming. What happens?
Just
then?
stop and then restart again.
Now what does it say?
Why is it unlisted? Wait, is it the same actually streaming? I need to edit it. Live stream settings. Everything is so slow. It's just because my internet is so horribly slow.
Oh, Santosh is here.
Hello. Where is Santosh? I don't see. Hi, Santosh. Wait a second. One technical issue. I have power cut, so I'm streaming from my mobile phone. How are you?
I'm good, yeah.
You're good. Just 1 second. I'm trying to figure out. Everything. this video, no promotion, cancel. How do I make it public actually? God, that's so crazy. It shows unlisted and stream settings. Okay, here, I guess, enable edit. And I'm making it public. And then I'm going to save. Okay. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I guess we should be already public. Let me test from my phone if it's going or not.
I'm testing from my phone. It still says waiting for Irina. Maybe we...
No way. No, it says public. Just wait for a couple of seconds.
Okay, okay.
Hard. Is it going?
Should we start the new stream? The key should be same, I think.
Yeah, it says live. It says live. Live. Wait, live. Streaming. Live now. Let me check if it's working or not. Yes, we're live, guys. We're live. Super.
It's working? I'll...
Yay! Hello! I don't know how many people are already watching us. We still have 2 minutes to go. Santosh, how is the weather in Chennai?
Very good, yeah. A fantastic weather.
Raining?
Mildly raining, very cloudy, and it's amazing weather. I like it.
Amazing
It is
weather.
not.
That's good. You know, we have a saying in Russian that nature has no bad weather.
Yeah, I've seen bad weather though, quite a bit. Floods and all is really bad. Yeah, so
for us
I think we are. Yeah, I think even in Kerala, we have some floods have happened. I think it has become quite common now to have all these floods. I think.
Okay, yeah, that became a norm, just like coronavirus. Okay. So slowly people will be joining, and before we start, maybe I can just give a small forward.
Okay.
Before we start. Yes, I'm symbolically wearing a traditional Belarusian shirt, if you can see. It's our traditional embroidery, because today I'm supporting my people who are suffering from police brutality on the streets. For peaceful protests, they want to change the government, and for that they were beaten and tortured and sodomized like it happened in fascist camps. Really, I never heard anything like the testimonials I heard from the people. So I'm giving support to them, and I think it's very symbolic that we are having the meeting today, because I always believe art is the best medicine from violence, the best medicine from one of the best cinematographers in India, and a great person, and he supports this kind of local small initiatives like mine. My channel is very small, but nevertheless he supports it. He gives support to starting artists, and thank you so much for coming and joining for this talk.
My pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. And yes, and I also want to introduce somebody who is helping us today. It's Abhijit. Maybe you can show yourself for 5 seconds because it's really hard to do technical side living in the village in Kerala. Hi, Abhijit.
Hi, Irene. Hi, Santosh.
Because, yes, internet and electricity goes on and off. And then we also have Prem here. Prem was behind the posters. He was the creative force behind the posters. He's also a cinematographer.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of your work.
He is a huge fan of Santosh, Sivan. I'm sure there's going to be many huge fans. And yes, already people start commenting, saying, hello, sir. Well, in any case, I think we can slowly start. And then if we get questions, we can move on to questions, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to ask a question which personally was very interesting to me because I always have a question if people are born as artists or if they become artists, if it's predetermined or not. But I wanted to tell a little bit about my personal story. As I was saying, I got connected to dance and Indian culture way before I realized it. I remember in 2002, I saw the Nataraja statue in America. And at that time, I did not know anything about India, but until now, I remember that moment. So this special connection which clicked. And now I am learning Indian classical dances and dancing and teaching. Santosh, do you think you have any moment like this in your life, which you can go back to, you can retrospect and think that was it, that was a sign that I will be in films, that I will be a cinematographer?
Yeah, I think I can very well resonate with your seeing the Nataraja's idol because that is what made me understand that dance was something that was given by the gods, since Vedic times, it is supposed to have been gifted by the gods. So I think I can relate to that. But of course, cinematography wise, I can, you connect only later. In the initial stage, you never connect totally. You never connected, but
Yes.
later on you realize
do you remember
that.
Anything now that maybe you connected? Maybe.
Yeah. I think so because in Kerala, in my ancestral home, it is actually a place where the architecture, like the Tharavad or the Naliket, is made to keep light out. So it is darkened. You have these fantastic rooms where things which should not go bad would be kept, which are very dark. But when you go inside, you'll see all these beautiful shafts of light, which little holes, and the light will come and pick up the dust. And it's all very magical. You want to catch it and things like that. So in that place, there was one particular picture of my great granddad, one black and white picture, and because you had the courtyard, the Nadubitam as we call it, and the light would come from there. So every day the light would keep changing in the room. You know what I mean? If it rains, it's a different ambience. If the door opens, it brightens up, or things like that. So there was this picture on the wall which used to make me very concerned because I had heard that he had died long time back. And wherever I went, he seems to be keeping on looking at me. So it was very, it was quite bad actually. Very haunting. So, and then and also it was a little picture which was going a little more peeled out and things like that. So it was very bad, and in the darkness, maybe the eyes only would be staring at you, things like that. And one day, to make things really bad, I think the electricity went off, and then there was lightning and thunder, and so he would only come in flashes. You know what I mean? So it was like a terrifying thing. And then, of course, later on, when you reflect on it, you realize how much light can make something alive, even a picture on the wall, with so many of its variations. So it's a very interesting thing when you reflect. Today, I feel okay. That means it has the power to dramatize or to make something very alive. So, which I think is something that I remember. One of the few things. Other thing was, of course, uh, I used to play hockey, and it was my job in school. I studied in Loyola School, so I used to play hockey, and it was my job to phone up and tell everyone whether it will rain or not. so that you can play in the evening. So my job was to
Okay.
stand in the terrace and try to see if it'll rain, if the clouds are
Observe.
gathering, and so it's amazing. Okay, so so slowly, without realizing, actually, you saw the greens against the dark clouds. You will realize that when things are very fleeting, they're so beautiful. You know what I mean? For example, when it suddenly rains and then suddenly the sun comes out, it's so beautiful with all these light picking up the dunes and the wet leaves and things like that. You know what I mean? And you realize that it's
Yes.
so fleeting. So in a way, I think I became like a farmer, so I could actually know if it'll rain or not. So I think all this is a part of without you realizing, of course. And in fact, when I did the first Kerala tourism films for Kerala tourism for God's own country, I tried to film it all in these kind of timings. You know what I mean? So that it would be something special for even a Kerala to see and enjoy like that.
Wow. So what you said is basically
ഹലോ
the
ആ അതെ
dance, the
ഈ
transient
സ്പ്രിന്റ്
nature of
പ്ലാനിങ്
light
തുടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ
and
അതിൻ്റെ
how
ലിങ്ക് എനിക്ക്
light
ടെലിഗ്രാമിൽ
works
അയച്ചു
in it is actually which brought this artistic vision in you, right?
സ്പ്രിന്റ്
So
പ്ലാനിങ്
first of all, the
തുടങ്ങുന്ന സമയത്ത്
ephemerity, nothing
ലിങ്ക്
is
ടെലിഗ്രാമിൽ
stable, so
അയച്ചു
it's changing. The light is
അല്ലല്ല
changing, the shapes are changing,
അത്
the shadows are changing. Your
ആദ്യമേ
grandfather's
Yeah,
eyes are changing, even on the picture
ആ
that doesn't move,
എന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ
right?
ആ
So this
ഞാനത്
is
yeah,
ഒരു
actually
ഞാൻ
wow, that's
ബ്രേക്ക്
really
നേരത്തെ
really
പറഞ്ഞെടുത്താണ് ഇതൊരു
interesting.
ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം
Yes,
ഉണ്ട്
and that's also
യൂട്യൂബിൽ
very
അപ്പോൾ
inspiring
അത്
because
അവർ തൃശ്ശൂരാണ്
personally I
അത്
think every
കലാമണ്ഡലത്തിലാണ് അവിടെ
artist
ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് ഒന്നും
is
കുറവാണ്
a
പിന്നെ
magician in a way, and
കറണ്ടൊക്കെ
we
പോകുന്നുണ്ട്
have to
അപ്പോൾ
create our
അവരുടെ
own
ചാറ്റിങ്
magical
അവർ
secret
ചാറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ കുഴപ്പമില്ല അപ്പോൾ
world
ഞാനിത്
yeah.
ഇവിടുന്ന്
within the
ഇത്
ordinary
സ്ട്രീം
reality,
ചെയ്യും
which is possible to see as
ആ
ordinary, right?
Very true, very true. I think it's
അതായത്
also, I think, very
ലൈവ്
autobiographical in
ഇവര്
a way. Art
റൂമിൽ
is very
ചാറ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് അവര്
autobiographical. When you finally do
ഞാനത് ജോയിൻ
something,
ചെയ്തിട്ട്
if you
സംഭവം സ്ട്രീം
really go
ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്
inside it, you realize that, okay, this was the influence. This has happened like
ആ
that. So
യാ
this
യാ
must
യാ
have happened. So that is why I'm
സന്തോഷ്
thinking
ശിവന്റെ
like this.
ഇന്റർവ്യൂ
So things like that. For example, I actually, as soon as I finished my film institute
ആ
course and I
ഓക്കെ
was
ഓക്കെ
back here,
താങ്ക് യു ആ
uh,
Okay.
there was one lady who wanted to make a film called Journey Within a Journey. Her name was Chitra Yogi, and she had come from America, and she wanted to do this film, which she wanted to embrace almost all the art forms of Kerala. You know? So I was. They found me to
Wow.
film it because I think they had to go to a lot of temples and things like that. So I was qualified for that, even though I was a rookie. I qualified for that, and then so I shot all these places, and it was a very low budget kind of thing, but it was very interesting because it was almost like a introduction for me to the whole of Kerala culture. There's nothing which I have not shot in that documentary, but strangely enough, the documentary actually came
Mhm.
out after 2 decades, almost only about 3-4 years back. So when I saw the film, I realized that though I had forgotten all about that film, I realized that so much of what I did later on had all roots in those stuff that I had shot so many years back. So many shots and so many influences you could see in that thing, which I never thought that I didn't know where it originated from. But the fact is that it was there, and I'm only seeing it 4 years back. So I feel that there's something that maybe has influenced you in a very interesting way, because when you say original means something with an origin. So I think it is fascinating because every day is a discovery as you go along. You thought that no one
Yeah.
ever, always you're a learner. You never really get into the thing that okay, everything, nothing. You always you feel that okay, you're learning something new, uh, and maybe you try to look at it with fresher eyes, maybe. But the fact is that it's a great learning experience. Yeah.
It's a great learning experience. And also, as you're saying, we're building up on the experience and we dig in something from the earlier moments, right? That's also part of it.
Yeah.
Good. And I know that, if I'm not mistaken, you've been painting since childhood, right? You've been painting.
Yeah.
And I guess it was also a big influence, was it, on your choices, later choices?
No, actually, painting was, I think,
Well,
my
at least they say that painters, like painting really.
You're breaking away.
Yes, sorry, there are connection issues. I'm in a rural area. People, I'm in the village. Please forgive. Yes.
Actually,
Village.
Actually, I used to sketch a long time back, and my grandmother used to encourage me because she used to sketch as well, and she, strangely enough, was very interested um, very interested in promoting, or rather encouraging people with the artistic instincts, whether it was music or anything. And to make it more interesting, she used to work in the palace, teaching in the palace, Travancore Palace.
Yes.
So when she came, she would get all these calendars of Raja Ravivarma paintings, and then she would illustrate these paintings, mythology connected with it. So I would say, as kids, we all had a visual education from her, because when you narrate the story of periodical, mythology, then you start to imagine. You start to imagine, and you see all the fight between good and evil, and you learn stories. And at night you're scared of ghosts and things. Everything happens. So I think,
Yakshis.
yeah. All kinds of stuff happens, and so it was an interesting journey for me because it happened like that. And then later on, when I was a little more grown up, my grandmother always used to take a negative, used to take the uh, pictures I sketched and says, "This is an original. We should keep it safely." Later on, my dad, when he taught me photography, he told me that the original is a negative. And today we are in a world where the digital is a copy. So things are always changing. But sketching is important in the growth of a cinematographer or any artist, I would say, because when you actually sketch, you have to observe something and notice much more than taking a picture. You have to observe every aspect of it, and you internalize it, and then you sketch. So it is an experience which makes you much more observant. And so I will know, if I'm sketching someone, I will know a face pretty much in all aspects, which is very important when you actually film, because I think every face has flaws, but I would say that it is these flaws which make it very unique.
Original.
Very unique. So I don't think, because I shot a film in Malayalam called Perindachan. I don't know if you know the story of Perindachan. Perindachan is a master craftsman who used to do everything very perfectly. And then his son lands up and he starts to do things imperfectly, and people start liking his work, And eventually this man kills the son. So it is something like that, where I think, there's imperfection in everyone's face, but it is, but when you go to meet your best friend, then you don't comb your hair and put makeup and go to meet them. You just go save. So I think if people who are into acting treat the camera like that, they treat the camera like that, then I would say it is a fantastic
like
move.
Like your best friend. Allow it to be.
And then they are not bothered. They don't have to wonder whether the camera is judging them or this is happening or that is happening. They just come and perform. So I think it's very important to have that sort of approach to whoever is interested in acting and things like that. That you have to look at it in a very.
That's very interesting, because I can also bring analogy to dance here. there are, different people who dance and judge dance differently, especially when it comes to classical dance. Indian classical dance has standards, let's say. And there are many of really, really rigid perfectionists who would say, if you do something a little bit different from the standard, you already failed. But then on the other hand, when you see these people who dance robotically perfect, you don't get the pleasure of watching it, because it's actually what you're saying, the imperfection, the vulnerability, the human side of it that makes an artist unique, the dancer unique, and the dance unique as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is very important I think it is very interesting to see all the nuances of everything. It is amazing. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because
so embrace wholesomely.
Not like that. I also think, there's a lot of things that happen. I actually went to Film and Television Institute of India in Pune, which is, I would say, one of the finest places to be exposed to all kinds of movies and very like-minded people from different cultures. You know what I mean? Different cultures. We even had Vietnamese people there. I think sometimes one of the most important thing about film schools is that the students there should be from all over the place. Then there is a exchange of ideas, seeing difference in cultures and things like that. It is a much more progressive way to learn than being a place where it is all very similar. You know what I mean? So after studying in a film institute like that, and when you come out, you feel quite a bit. You feel like all students. When you come out of a big institute, you feel a little bit arrogant. Also, I think you think that you know everything, which you actually don't know. But the fact is that you feel that you know everything. But and so when I landed up here after that. I was very reluctant to assist anyone, to get into the business of movies. You had to assist someone, or work 2-3 years to really get to know people and to tell. You can't simply say, I'm my father's son, my father is a very big photographer, so I also know. You can't say like that. And of course, I didn't want to assist anyone because I thought that it was very difficult for me to, get into that kind of a thing. I thought that I would like to make mistakes and learn rather than be tutored how to do things of what I love actually. But since I knew still photography quite well, I was, of course, could afford to do that. But since I used to also do small films for all these social welfare kind of films, the people at Vivekananda Kendra was very interested in me. And so they used to give me a lot of opportunities to go and film in Balwadis, which are nurseries in Tamil Nadu, rural Tamil Nadu, where you go and film them, and then they will get food, things like that, things like that. So I took an opportunity from that, and when they wanted some teachers to teach photography, I volunteered, and I ended up in a place called Arunachal Pradesh, which is near the Himalayas, which was like for me from backwater boy to Himalayas is very bad. Himalayas is very cold. It is really cold, and when you see the wind coming, you want to run away. And it took 7 to 8 days to reach this place because it's only forest and nothing else, and near the China border, there's only forest and there's practically nothing there. You know what I mean? Only. And the school was in a small 4-acre place which is cordoned off with big fences because there used to be a lot of wild animals. And the students all had swords with them,
Swords?
And swords,
like
yeah.
To fight.
Because, to fight means, no, to protect themselves when they go out and all
From
that
the
stuff.
animals,
Yeah. And also they're from different tribes and they're very violent kind of people, they're not really very much gentle and all that. But strangely enough, in front of the school, they had a statue of Mahatma Gandhi in the front of the school. But Mahatma Gandhi had transformed into one of them actually, because they had made him look. Mahatma Ji had big calf muscles, broad shoulders, and his stick was raised, Because then I said, how come his stick is raised? He used to.
Yeah, like he's
So they were saying, no. He is very strong because he chased the British away. You know what I mean? So they primarily believe that he had to chase them away. You have to be strong. You know, they don't.
okay.
I don't. They didn't get into this non-violent bit and all that stuff. So they felt that if he got his freedom, that means he must have been really strong to chase them away. So that kind of people, okay. So I actually learned quite a bit from them also. Even though whenever you go to teach something or share knowledge, you end up getting much more than you give. Actually, I feel, personally, I feel. So one day when their
I agree
dog,
with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
when their dog died, and they want to bury it in the forest, I accompanied them, and they went into the middle of the forest, and they picked a very tall tree, and then they started digging under the roots, under the tree. And it was getting late, and these people didn't stop after 5 feet. Also, they again digging deeper and deeper. So I said, "Why you want to dig so deep? Yeah, put it down." No. Then they said, "No. It has to go to the roots. Then only the dog will become the tree." So they had that thing in mind. So they always
Oh my
felt that the
gosh.
dog will become the tree and things like that. So later on, when I analyzed it with some of the elders there, then they told in a very strange and interesting way that everything that has life has to have mystery. If there's no mystery, there's no life. So it has to
Absolutely.
have a hand both in darkness and in light. If the roots are carnivorous, the and the tree is giving flowers, but the roots are carnivorous. So there is a mystery to everything. It's almost like in everything. If you are dancing well, it also means you have been practicing like nobody's business. You know what I mean? So I think the whole idea of light and darkness hit you very suddenly and very interestingly, because you realize that this is this is maybe what when you have to give life to an image, then you should have a beautiful blend of light and darkness. So
In
I
your mind
actually,
also.
yeah, so actually all the time when I really light, I try to think of the story, so that I try to do something to feel if there is a blend of it or not. And I think that is more interesting than looking for some reference or something like that. I love, thinking that if you've actually created a life in the image, which makes it more interesting. And every time you do something that you feel you have done something, it makes it very interesting, because I feel somewhere along the line I'll feel that for a creative artist like a farmer, 1 plus 1 is what you might have learned is 2, but your answer is never 2. You know, if a farmer sows so much of seeds, it has to multiply. If you are in a relationship and you have children, then it can't be 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. It has to be 1 plus 1 is equal to 3 or 4, like that. So I feel when you actually create something, it has to have something more than just a proper formula, like, okay, 1 plus 1
Formula.
is equal to 2.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's a
it has to
formula.
have something extra. It should have. So if you
Mhm.
believe in all this and you motivate yourself to do something interesting, because you're going to uh, you're going to actually dedicate this work to someone you love, then you will find the energy and everything happening very easily. Actually. Yeah. Okay, to complete that story, the Arunachal Pradesh story.
Yes.
So after that, I learned another big lesson the same day. Actually, that is, while returning, these people suddenly surrounded me and told us that they're very anxious, and they took out their swords and they were just looking around and all that, and prodding the sword, the leaf, and all that. So I asked him what happened. Then he said, it's strange because the forest also had suddenly gone very quiet. So I asked what happened. Then he said, "Sir, 2 tiger prints here." I said, "What do you mean tiger prints? 2 tiger prints?" And it's very tall grass, so it is not very romantic or anything. Tiger could be hiding there and it's seeing a South Indian dinner actually. So
Yeah,
I was,
yeah. Some
yeah,
exotic dish.
yeah. So I was like, So I was actually pretty. So I asked one of these boys. Because I was a teacher also, I used to teach photography to them. So they should, So I could not. So I have to pretend that I'm okay. And I said, "Acha, what will you do if you see a tiger suddenly?" So I asked him. So he looked at me very confidently and said, "I will run very super fast and climb the tall tree very fast." Now those people are built like that. They can run like that and climb trees
They
like
can
that.
run. And they have their swords also.
Yeah, no. But they said very confidently they'll run very fast and we'll outrun them. He said. So I said,
Yeah.
but my dear friend, if I see a tiger, I cannot run like you and run and climb fast like you. What will I do? Then he looked at me and says, "No problem, sir. You see tiger, tiger look at you and you will learn everything very fast. You will learn whatever."
You will learn all the mystery of life.
Yeah. So I think, if you look at every day like that, everything uh, that you have, when you have confronted with a problem or something, if you think like
Yeah.
that, that there's a tiger behind you, then you will do much better than what you would do normally. You know what I mean? Whether it's
Yeah.
filming something or any kind of problem, you will find that there is something in you which, if you trust, it can actually empower you in a much better way than we realize, actually, than we think.
There is a Latin saying, right? Through the thorns to the stars. I don't remember exactly how it's in Latin, but through the thorns to the stars. Like basically, thorns,
Yeah.
which harm you, they help you reach the stars. So
I think it is very. I mean, because we are all, at the end of the day, I tell that to all the young people who want to actually start off as a artist, to create visual artist, that it is all about believing in yourself, and you should feel that that there is something about everyone which, if they tap correctly, it can flower, blossom. Nothing to be scared of anything in life, actually.
Nothing to be scared of, exactly. And always be curious, right? It's not about success, ultimately. It's about curiosity and finding yourself, right?
Yeah. I think if when you're curious, is the whole idea of being curious is a human nature. If you look at only human beings spend so much of the young period under the protection of the parents. You know what I mean? The wild animals just go like that because man has this very curious nature, and it had to be more and more developed. The parents used to have hold for a longer time, which is why, of course, you found these very curious people all over the world. They traveled and everything happened, and they started inventing new things and everything. So I think the curious nature is something that you should never let go. Never let go. I think it's the most amazing thing that can happen, actually, and I think it is there inherently. So I think it is we are gifted with that kind of nature, actually.
Yes, and curiosity is your compass, actually, to find yourself, find your way. Yes, my next question. Yes, before I ask next question, whoever is watching, whoever is live with us, you can also type your questions, and then we can select a couple in the end of our discussion. And if you have any questions about art, dance, cinema, and philosophy, we see that Santosh is a very philosophical person, and I find it really, really good. Yes, no, but it is good. It is good. It is good. That's what you're saying. This is part of the mystery of the creation. You have to just embrace the magic and never question the magic and never try to explain it. Because whenever you start questioning it, magic can disappear. So no need to question the magic. Just go with it and trust that things happen.
Yeah. I think the whole idea is that not only curious, you should also have a lot of joy in what you're doing. I always think that when people make films or any creative endeavor, it should be almost like the same thrill you got out of making a sandcastle. But the sandcastle has to be very near to the waves. Otherwise there's no fun. So there is also the fact that the wave will come and hit it. That is also an interesting thing in itself. It's like
That's
in
also part
Bombay.
of it, yes.
Yeah, in Bombay, after 9 years of Ganapati Puja, they dump it into the sea. You know what I mean? So I think, that the thrill and living on the edge should be there. So that means, as a creative person, you should be interested in taking the risk.
Not
Oh,
comfortable. You should never be
yeah,
comfortable enough.
yeah. You should be
The
on the. You
edge,
should be
it
on the
means
edge.
yes, yes.
Yeah. You should
Yeah.
do things that even you have not ventured there before. But then only you'll start discovering interesting new things. Maybe sometimes even lucky accidents. You don't know, but you end up doing very very different things when you're on the edge. And I love the thrill of actually doing things almost like with a childlike joy. Which I think makes it easy for me to. So every day it is some kind of a mystery to be done, which makes work also very interesting. Yeah.
And makes life intentional as well. And also, yes, my next questions would be a little bit directed to dance, because I'm sure there are a couple of dancers watching at least. And because you know that Indian dance and cinema are very, very much closely connected, right? Basically, even we know from the history, so when the Indian classical dance was banned in the temples, many Devadasis went to act, to dance in the films. And so how do you think actually this whole heritage, which suddenly India after independence had to deal with, influenced its cinema and specifically dance?
Yeah, I think dance was always a part of. See, there was always people where Indian, of course, our Asian people, were always used to the fact that everything had to have music and dance, whether it's puppetry or most art forms had these two things actually. And to make it more interesting, it is all very devotional, because if you are a dancer, you don't need to have an audience. You can just light a flame and dance to the flame, like
That's
you have
Indian
in.
concept. A Western person will not understand you. Western person needs an
Yeah,
audience. But here in
yeah.
India, I hear artists saying, like, we perform just for the lamp, like Kudiyatam. And I feel this is the ultimate joy. That's what you're saying about. You don't need somebody's judgment to keep you going. You are
Yeah.
enough,
So it's
actually.
so
Yeah.
it's like a worship actually. I was doing a film called Vanaprastham, which Mohanlal and all acted in, and it was very interesting. And where Kathakali would be performed, and they would light this lamp, and it was all for the lamp. And so it is important that the source of light came from that and things like that. But I accompanied one of the Shankaran Kuttichetan, who's the Chenda player, on his practice. And the devotional way he spent without only me standing and watching, and the way he started doing his Chenda practice just in front of a lamp, you know. Then it is enough for you to realize how much that aspect has gone into you, that you don't even need an audience to perform like that. So I think basically dance will remain so. And because of that, the song and dance routine in Indian films, it had a very quaint outside acceptance. Because, when you go abroad and all that, uh, when you see in Indian films and you see song and dance, if you don't see song and dance, they'll say, what happened? Because, they believe that if Chinese films have kung fu, Indian films should have songs.
That's a good observation, yeah.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, having said that, because of the song and dance routine, the Indian movie was safer from Western, from Hollywood, actually. Because if you
From
look
the
at
influence.
most, yeah, not influence, they couldn't come and do the same thing. Okay. So we
Okay, so that
found,
was
yeah, they couldn't figure out how to do all this decorative art and things like that. So we had our own film industry is thriving even now. But if you look at UK or wherever, it is all Hollywood coming with, even Italian films are all subtitled, not subtitled, dubbed maybe, Hollywood films. So that way we have our own thing. So it protected somewhere. It was also protection in a very strange way from all these things. And I love shooting songs. I think it's amazing because, especially with today's social media, you can always revisit a song. I was actually in Japan. I was taken by these Japanese people, by the Japanese Society of Cinematographers, where they took me to all the
Santosh,
places
Sivan.
where Kurosawa was shot. And
अभी
when
मैं
I
photograph
returned
कर
after
रहा
10 days, they all came to the airport and
खाता
sang
मैं ना
Chaya
फोन
Chaya and let me
Oh my God.
off. Because it was their
वो
favorite song,
दिल
and
से
I
वगैरह
can't
आज
imagine.
का
So you realize that it has connected with them
वेरी
so
वेरी
much. Same
एक्सपीरियंस
way, Dancer in the Dark movie.
वो
It was inspired
लाइव
from
है
Chaya Chaya, that
यूट्यूब लाइव
sequence in Dancer in the
वो
Dark.
जो है ना वो
Because
रिव्यू
that time
वाला
I
था
had got
उसका फिल्म भी इसी
my
ने किया था
film, The Terrorist, was nominated for Indian Spirits Award. From the Spirits Award in US actually. So when I went there, actually Dance in the Dark won the film. So that time they were telling me this was inspired by this and all that stuff. So I think I really love filming songs. I think even whatever, but I think it's interesting to look at it that way. Next,
Yes,
you should
and
try a
yeah.
classical dance on top of a train. I think.
Definitely, yes. But who will allow me? I think they'll put me in jail for that, like a crazy foreigner on top of the train. Already, I'm facing a lot of misunderstanding, let's say. But since you mentioned that song, yes, I wanted to ask you a little bit about it. It was shot on top of the train, yes. What is the symbolic significance of it? Like, does it mean this kind of uncertainty or the journey of the protagonist to this mysterious girl? Like, how did this association of a train actually come, apart from their first encounter being at the train station?
Yeah, I think sometimes things are progressive. In fact, the previous film that Maniratnam had done called Iruvar, I remember filming Mohanlal on top of a train. And we wanted to do more, but we were not equipped for it because the train was too fast. Only Mohanlal was all eager and ready to do it, but we didn't have, we couldn't get the dancers on top and things like that. So we had been thinking about it for some time, and then later on, me and Maniratnam might have actually traveled quite a bit in different parts of India, trying to scout a location. And when you travel like that and you discuss it in great detail, you spend a lot of time and discuss why we should have this song, like you're asking. What is so special about this song and things like that? Why should we how can we make it special? Things like that. So when we decided to be on the train, then we were very sure that it had to create a nostalgia. And so the whole idea of the train journey is actually, if you look at it, it is nostalgic because if ever you remember your first train journey, you will think about the tunnels you came out and came in through and things like that. So tunnels are very important nostalgic element of a train journey, at least for me. And most of the people here, you just wait for the time and everything will go dark and things like that. It's very fascinating. So we wanted something like that. So I think that is what actually propels the idea more than the technical quality. If there is some motivation, okay, why are we doing this? What are we supposed to evoke? Then it becomes easier, because if you always start from the center, and the center is the why, not what and how, that all we know. But are we doing this? If that has clarity, then I think most of it, evens out. Why are we doing this?
Yes, and very often you get interpretation already after you did it, like maybe something's not unconscious, subconscious. They're subconscious for you. You kind of make choices which you just, okay, this speaks to me, it vibrates to me, so I'm choosing it. And then after you start thinking, okay, maybe actually train was the start of this very kind of thrilling journey of the discovery, right? And so like the symbolism can come actually later. And it starts with an impulse, this creative discovery that we were talking about.
Also, when you do a very interesting song, it imparts a certain kind of energy, a kind of happiness, whether it's classical music song or whatever. You feel that you're imparting some kind of a joy into the other person, which is interesting. So I think, when you look at all that, you realize, okay, this dance is working, or this ambience is working, and this music is amazing, and things like that, so it's interesting.
But what about the other song, the Satarangire? I hope I pronounced it correct. So that was shot in many locations, including desert and the snow. Like that already involved some kind of thought behind it, right? Like, I mean.
No, actually, one of those songs we shot in Ladakh, and we of course talks about colors and things like that. But the fact was also that we wanted to different kind of colors and moods, basically. So that was also like an adventure, because we went to Ladakh, and then we just decided to climb into a jeep and then travel to the snow. Okay. And so we passed through snow, we shot there. Then we went into Penang Valley, which is a very rare place, because that place is full of mines. So you cannot simply go and shoot wherever you feel like. The place has been mined, during the Chinese time and all that. So we don't know exactly where these mines are and things like that. So it was like an adventure. So we just traveled for 2 days and filmed. And so there's no real preparation. It's more like a organic way of song happens. And also I think we have people like Shah Rukh Khan, and who's extremely wanting to do new things, and people like that. So all that actually adds to it. You don't have reluctant actors. You have actors who are ready to give themselves 100%. So you have and when you tell them to go, you have to go there and stand, and they'll very gladly go and stand very far away. And they are not really, despite having lack of oxygen and all this stuff. So I think when you have a very good crew and cast and crew, I think that is the biggest advantage to a film, more than money and everything. If you have a very good cast and crew, committed people, that is much more. Especially if you are doing an independent film, that is your biggest blessing to have.
Don't tell me. I already had experience when you have great ideas and everything, but people are like, "Oh, why should we do it? Oh, it will not work. What does?" And then you just lose this intention yourself. But when you vibe with people, you like in this kind of like energetic field, and then magic actually happens.
Very true.
Very true. Yes, but my next question would be like, how does your work with choreographers go? So it also goes in this experimental way. You just come to locations, you see the location, and then the choreographer would say, "Oh, actually, this movement would look nice here," or how does it work? Or do they have some?
No. I think most of the time, I think the choreographer will have rehearsals with the actors.
Long before.
I think because they should know what to do, so they will have an idea that this is.
They're not improvising.
Then when they actually come to film, then it's basically choreography is also, the camera is also moving with them. So then we will decide along the director, okay, how can we do this? Should we have very continuous takes? Of course, a choreographer will always have his or her perceptions of. The leg movements is not seen, or the hand movement is not seen, and things like that. So they're very particular that those. So they will actually, because of course they also want it done, because they made the actors rehearse so hard to perfect it. You know what I mean? So all these things happen, and so it's a very close knit kind of a job, actually. Especially when it comes to filming choreography.
But yes, because actually location influences choreography. There are site-specific dances which are created only based on the location. So if they created it long time before they saw the location, then of course some changes undergo on spot, right? Once you arrive there.
Yeah. See, basically when you do a song, one of the main things that you think about is there a recall value in the location? Okay. Can we connect to the song. Like when you say Chaya Chaya, you imagine the train going like that. Satrange, you imagine all this big travel going. So there should be something that connects you to. You should remember it by. You don't have to show 20 locations and without a purpose. Even one location is enough, but it has to have a recall value. So that is what we do when we actually try to do it. I mean, that's one of the main things that we try to do actually. Yeah. Unless, of course, it's a realistic setting. Yeah.
And as I already understood, in your work, you choose to be more spontaneous and intuitive rather than pre-planned and referenced, right? That's your kind of approach.
No, I think I don't mind if there's a need to reference, because today with the VFX and all predominantly being used, those times you need to have much more planning and referencing and things like that. So we have, so it goes both ways actually, Yeah. It's not like, okay, I will only do like this, something like that. You're easy
you
to
have to adjust to the situation.
Yeah, you're easy to go with the way, which it's good to. I think, sometimes you feel that, things are not like you read about when you actually experience something. It is very different from what you read about or what you have heard people say when you actually confront anything. For example, I was doing a film on Ganga, and everyone says Ganga is pure, Ganga is polluted, and all that stuff. So I was filming Ganga, and it was really polluted that time. And then I saw this guy taking a bath as if he was in honey or something, in this dirty water. Okay, and then he came back. So I called him. Then I asked him, "This is so dirty. How can you dance? How can you bathe like this here?" Then he looked at me very shocked. Then he asked me I want to know why is Ganga so ritualistic for him. So he looked shocked, and then he told me, "Sir, if your mother is dirty, you will not hug her." You know what I mean? So the whole idea that Ganga is like a mother. So now, and if it is dirty, you will not hug her. So it doesn't matter, even if it's the most polluted, you will hug her. That is the whole idea. So when you have a thinking like that, now it is very difficult to change anything. You cannot change anything to do because he thinks like that. It's like that. So I think similarly, I think when it comes to work, if your thinking is like that, then you have the advantage of seeing so many new things every day, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And I will ask you one last question from me, because I see already people are writing their questions, so we can address their questions. Not actually one, there will be three in one. So first questions, because you are also a director, you also direct films. So based on what do you choose where the song is gonna be, in which situation it's gonna unfold? Because in Indian cinema, song is like this kind of magical realism that we see in Latin American literature, right? It kind of opens a portal to some kind of imaginary world which can show the situation from a totally different perspective. So how do you choose it? And my second question, okay, last one too, is who is your dream performer with whom you still haven't worked and you would like to work?
I think to find out how to see songs, it depends actually. Even if you look at what you have done before, what suits the song? What are the lyrics? Is there any situation which makes it interesting? What is the element that we can use? Is it water? Is it fire? What is the kind of feeling you want to convey? So all these things matter when it comes to songs. Do we elevate the moment with the use of rain, drizzle, sunshine? That's up to us to do what you feel should be done. So all these things will be considered actually to elevate the performance, which I think is it's amazing to do actually. Now, who is the person? I'm not shot. I don't know actually. I can't because I've shot with quite a lot of people So
it's hard to
I
find.
might,
Okay, you
yeah,
can have.
I've shot with most of these people actually. So I find uh, Shobna very graceful in a dance. You know? Yeah,
Yes.
she's
And you
a very
haven't worked
graceful
with her
person.
yet.
Yes,
With
yes, I have
Shobana.
worked with her. I have worked with
Are
her.
you won't? So second time you would like. Third time, I don't know how
No,
many.
no, but that's not a dance film. It's more like a actress film. But I think when you can make out the elements of dancing and all, because the way she moves, there's a grace that goes with her, and you realize that sometimes when you meet someone, you know that they are a dancer, like that. So you
Yes.
know that they're a dancer. There's a grace to which they move. There's a great coordination between the body and mind and things like that. So it's delightful to see such a understanding of their own body and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Yes, Shobana.
yeah,
Okay. I will read
yeah.
out some. No. Great. Absolutely amazing woman. Very powerful personality. Great dancer. Yes, as you said. Okay, I'm starting to read out the question. Some of your frames from Dilse has Vittorio Storato feel to it. Is there any influence of him on you? Hello. I think there is some connection. Hello. I think we just lost Santosh. Maybe he got a call. Let me read all your questions meanwhile. And choose the best. Of course, all questions are good, I'm sure. Sumedra is a tag dancer, but working in the medium of camera in screen dance filmmaking. What is the question that we still ask in the context of dance in films and films in dance? One second. What new in dance fields you would like to see now, especially? Okay, guys, you keep on posting your questions. I'll just text Santosh and ask if he's gonna rejoin us or it's some technical issue. And I would also like to say that today is a special day. Special, like a little bit sad. Actually tragic for my country, because maybe some of you heard about Belarus and the peaceful protests that were happening in my country. And unfortunately, the way the government handled those peaceful protests is way beyond like human. The people were detained, more than 6,000 people. Apart from being detained, they all were brutally beaten, tortured, no matter women, children, or like elderly people. Some are now exiting these detention centers with disabilities. Like girls were refused any basic sanitary things, people were starving. So this whole situation is now causing our people in Belarus to raise and protest. And of course, the protests are happening peacefully because it's our nations, let's say.
Sorry,
yes, I'm telling about this. Yeah, no problem. Yes, I'll just finish one thing. It's a trait of Belarusians, the peacefulness, and so with this, our people are raising. So please, if anybody has social media, spread the awareness on social media that these things are happening in Belarus, and we need your support. Thank you. Yes, Santosh. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So there was a question about Storaro, the Italian cinematographer, and Akshay was asking that if it had influence on Dilse, because he says some frames have his film to it.
I think Storaro is one of my favorite cinematographers.
Okay.
Subroto Mitra is my favorite though. Satyajit Ray cinematographer. Storaro and Nesta Almendros and all these people are very. I really like them for their different styles. Actually, so I think definitely. I'm very happy if someone finds something like that, because, like I said, that sometimes it is nice to know where influences have gone. Though I don't think there was any deliberate way to actually try to recreate any of his magic or anything like that, because no two situations are the same, unless you are exactly doing like that. But the way I celebrate light, and the way I like the light in its emotions, is very similar to not just Torero. A lot of cinematographers actually do that. So it is in a way celebrating the presence of light, or whatever you say, or the absence of light. So I think, like I said, there should be a balance. So I think there are a lot of cinematographers I actually love watching, and even people who have not worked with, but I feel that most of them have done so many interesting things that people of our generation can actually take it and learn from it without actually having worked with them. Learn from your past masters is a very crucial thing to do, to observe and to learn, and how they innovated at times like that. So I think it's very important to have have pay tribute to people that you actually love very much. In fact, a film called Irivar that I did is actually a tribute to Subrata Mitra. In fact, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Great to hear also about your influences. And the next question is, oh, see, Ashwati is asking. Ashwati is the girl from Kalamandalam. She's a Mohiniyattam dancer and very good friend to all foreigners. She was always a help to us. She says, when filming in India, a few art forms are included. She says, maybe it will help future generations to know more about art. So she says not all art forms are included actually in Indian films for some reason. Maybe
I didn't follow you, Arina.
Yes.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes, she said when filming in India, a few art forms are included. Maybe it will help in this present generation to know more about art. Basically, I think what she means that very few art forms are actually shown in Indian cinema, so that they should be more shown. Like maybe Mohiniyattam is not much included, or some other art form. What is your opinion on that?
Actually, I've done a lot of documentaries, and I've actually
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Neha.
Hi. Abhijit, if someone joins, just give me 5 minutes. I'll be back on this. I need to restart the Wi-Fi. कुछ issues आ रहे हैं network में.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just do mention that I'm joining in like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, sure.
process. The director, of course, has a lot of say in it because you're trying to tell his story. It's not your story, you know.
Yeah.
And the actor is the one who is the subject, you know. So,
Hello. Hi, Amar. Neha will be joining in a few minutes. She has some issue with Wi-Fi, so she's fixing. Just a couple of minutes. She'll be back.
Is like joining for Netflix with a please. Is like joining for a Netflix show with a please. Yeah, definitely. It is a show, isn't it?
I bet you can't eat just one.
It's just a guided show, that's it.
and things and all that, people tend to confuse, technology.
All starts, that's it. Yeah.
If you have the best camera in the world is the camera you have with you know, because the idea is to film it and to shoot it and to do something.
In the end, technology is always just a tool, right? It will not.
Now you have this whole thing of film change, it is digital. That is okay, but your sensibilities remain the same. The way you want to capture image remains the same. All these are same, but we are talking about a different digital to film and all that stuff. But that is all something. Change is always going to happen. That for sure. So we never know. We cannot stop change. That is going to happen for sure.
Yes.
But your sensibilities and the way you want to capture everything, the way you respect your background and the way you see your, what do you call it? The way you draw in from your culture, visual language from your culture is what makes it unique. You know, when I was invited to be a member of the American Society of Cinematographers, they actually said very straight to you that they loved your work because it does not look like it is taken from, it is imitating Hollywood. You know? They like it because there is something unique about it. So they would never appreciate you if you were busy imitating them. You know? That they would never appreciate because American Society of Cinematographers, they believe that there are bunch of visual artists who have people from all over the world who bring in their own sensibilities and who bring in their own cultural understanding to the visual language, which is one of their main reasons for inviting actually. So I think it is very important that we always go back to our roots and our cultural forms, whether it's dance, music, everything. If you actually try and understand it better, because I think especially Kerala with all our visual culture, it's a fantastic, it's a big melting pot of what you want to choose. Yeah.
Once you get into it, you are trapped because it's never enough. It's never enough. Look at the example of foreigners. We keep on swimming in your art forms and not seeing shores, and it's just like you never find the shore because this is the ocean, basically. Okay, next question is from Abhijit, and he says that Indian films have traditionally put people with disabilities in the box of stereotypes. Did you think about changing it?
No, I didn't get the question. Yeah,
yes, Indian films have traditionally put people with disabilities, disabled people, in the box of stereotypes. Have you thought about changing it?
Yeah, I think, people with disabilities, I've had actually experiences where I made a children's film where I had a girl who plays who is a deaf person, deaf. Malli, the film which I made. Actually, there's no character like that in the film. But this girl came to do the main role and she acted, and then she asked me, because I'm deaf and dumb, you will not put me in the film like that, So I actually created a role for her and made sure that she acted, you know what I mean? So I'm sure that, film people are also basically, they are considered the artists. If something can be done to not to get them stereotyped and do, then it
Yeah.
becomes like that, you know. So you do like that. And also, I think, you know, I think most of us try to do that. In fact, I did a film called Navarasa, which looks at the third gender with very kind eyes. They're not made fun of like you usually see in movies. So they talks about their life and things like that in Tamil life. Actually made. So I think there are a lot of filmmakers who are very very considerate and want to
Expand,
reflect
explore
their
this.
films should reflect society in a nicer way. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And one more question from Akshay. Other than color, how else do you make a scene appear as a nighttime?
Other than color, how do you?
Yes, other than color, how do you make this scene appear as a night? Like to make it look like night?
I think basically, if you look at night, if you observe night, moonlight, if I'm saying, I think it is interesting to see moonlight. If you notice for some time, you find that it is got less contrast than the sunlight. But the fact is that it is very much the same source, kind of source that comes from heaven. You know? So most of the time, more than color, what we depend is on lighting. How you light scenes, you know, which gives you the feeling, and that is for you to pick and choose. You know, it's not just ray and a night or anything. It's for you to pick and choose. For example, if you get up very early in the morning before sunrise, you see this darkness slowly giving way to a kind of a monochrome silhouettes and things like that, and then slowly you will see the soft light getting colors out subtly. Then the bright light comes, and then the colors and the plants and the flowers dance in that vibrant mood. Then slowly it reverses, and so it's like a navarasa in dancing or in acting, happening with light also. And in the night, it suddenly glows, you know, with in that contrasty light of moonlight and things like that. So if you notice light in different forms of it, I would say it's very much like a dance form. So it has, you can see every aspect of it if you tend to look at it carefully. Yeah.
Okay, that's very extensive answer. And there was one question from Sumeda. She says, from a perspective of a dancer, I like the idea of a dancing cinematographer. Have you ever thought this way?
What is that?
Dancing cinematographer basically dances together with the dancer. I think that's her idea. Is it happening?
I have not personally shot like that, but I think there have been attempts to do like that, especially in discotheque and all that. I think, you know, disco songs and all. I think it might have happened, though I don't know if we should. You know, I think when the dancing is going on, I think the cinematography, everything should be like a rhythm to it, not trying to do the moves. So it like for music, if the tabla player is also going to sing the melody, it doesn't work actually, you know. So I think sometimes, you know, the cinematography and lighting all should be like a rhythm player to the whole thing. You know, it should be an accompaniment. It can't take over the main role of the dance is a dance. Like that. Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like in a classical music, the tabla player and the kanpura all have their roles in it. You know, they are not trying to imitate the vocalists.
Okay. Yeah. Also, yes, people notice, and I also notice your frame is a little bit tilted. Can we maybe correct it for the last couple of questions? I think your phone is like this.
Yeah. Because I'm.
No, you're like that. No, I mean, I think you need to flip your phone. Yes. Now you're correct. Yes. Good, great. From a question from Himanshu: as a cinematographer, what do you look for a dancer that makes him special to shoot? So, how will a dancer be special for you as a cinematographer?
No, I didn't listen to your question properly. What did you say?
As a cinematographer, what do you look for in a dancer that makes him or maybe her special to shoot?
I think most importantly, I think grace is the most important thing. I think the grace is what makes it very interesting. And then I think it should be accompanied by an amazing face expressions, which actually connects. Because like actors, dancers also should have something to do with their eyes, which connects and draws people in. So I feel the expressions I should make as a cinematographer when I actually shoot someone. I think the eyes also, the face also should speak quite a bit. And of course, grace goes without saying. So I feel these are the two main things which I can think of.
So grace and eyes. So eyes of the dancer is the gems of the dancer.
Yeah, the eyes of the dancer and the expression is amazing because you can say so much subtly without actually,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you can say it subtly, and also I think it can also somewhere lead the movements in a certain way. It can actually lead the movements also.
Well, as we are all taught in classical dance, it all starts with the eyes actually, because it says no, not with the eyes, with the hand movement, and then eyes follow. So yato, hasta, tato, drishti. So, but the eye is one of the first fundamental aspects of any dance. Yes. So great. So we are already 75 minutes, and I think maybe Santosh is already tired, right? Little bit. He has other commitments. Or what would you like to answer one more question? There are many questions, actually. Would you like to answer one more question, maybe?
Yeah, please.
Okay. 1 second. Yes. The way you design your shots feel like the camera is a character. How do you design your shots, especially your dynamic shots?
I think, the whole idea is that when you look through a camera, I try to pretend or rather imagine that this viewfinder is a big, larger than life screen. And I always try to think that there are small people sitting there and watching the film when I'm looking through. Then I know whether this will impact an audience or not. You know what I mean? So I will try to do whatever. So I try to play my own game of imagining that this is a big screen,
Yes.
I don't see it as a small viewfinder or anything. I see it as a theater experience, and then whether this hits me or not, So I try to think like that. Yeah.
That's very good suggestion. That's very good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think we will conclude here. That was a really lovely talk. I'll just give my opinion. That was a really lovely and very inspiring. And definitely you have a lot to share from your personal view. And personally, I find it a lot more valuable in artists, cinematographers, whoever, rather than technical side of the story. So thank you so much. It was very inspiring.
My pleasure. Fantastic initiative of yours too, and I wish it all very well. I'm sure you'll get very interesting people on your shows and things will become very interesting. I'm very sure. You take care. All the best. Good night, folks.
Thank you so much. Good night. Shubharatri. Shubharatri.
Good night.
Bye. Okay, guys. So here we finished our live. And thank you so much, everyone who watched it. And thank you so much once again, Abhijit and Prem. You can show yourself hiding behind these posters if they're still here. So thank you so much for assisting me technically. You saw I had problem with light. The electricity was off. My mobile network was not working properly. I was trying to connect my laptop to mobile, but it happened. And that's what we talked about. Through thorns to the stars, and let it be our motto of every dancer, of every cinematographer that attended this show, this talk, let's say. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And I'll be making more of these live talks. Some of them will be pre-recorded because not always it's possible to make it live on YouTube. Some of them will be live. So I suggest you all stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, advertise it among your friends, And stay all safe and keep on dancing and keep on creating. And lots of love to everyone. Namaste.